Hey guys, welcome to the episode 3 of the season 1. So, this time we'll be talking about legends. I'm not doing right now like thanking everyone for listening to the podcast because I don't know if any of you have listened to the past episode yet. Why is that? Because I'm recording this one the same day as I recorded the other one. I'm planning to now record the episodes in advance, so I'll be, if I'm posting, the episode 2 on Wednesday, I'll post this on Friday. And well, just to be prepared, like recording 1 or 2 days early, so I can post either on Friday or Saturday. So yeah, that's what. Like, I've taken off my sweater, so I don't look the same. But we are still on the topic of like legends. The Dia de Muertos, and it's came from a tradition based on a superstition of the mythology of the culture. So now we're talking about some legends from Mexico and Oaxaca mostly. So the first of all are the Nahuales. So what is a Nahual? The term Nahual comes from the Nahuatl Nahuali, which can be translated to something like what is hidden. Okay, so in the Mesoamerican cosmovision, it was a belief that each person had a tonal. What's a tonal? A tonal is an animal spirit or spiritual partner. So the tonal was linked to the life, fate, and transformation of the person, And later on the Mexican popular tradition in Mexico, the Nahual, as I said before, it can be a human or sorcerer that can transform to animal or has that animal as a manifestation, and it can be used for good and for bad. So one of its main characteristics is that he can appear on the day as a normal human, and in the night can transform into an animal, a coyote, a jaguar, some kind of bird, a dog, and much more. So in many stories in Oaxaca, we talk about Nahuales, and it's not like we talk about them as evil creatures or something like that, but we believe more in their kindness. So we believe in them as guardians of the water and protectors of the community. As an example, in San Sebastián de las Grutas, which is located in Villa Sola de Vega, we have a legend of Nahual from the spring waters that receives offerings each February 1st. So the Nahual can also be associated with the night, borderline in between the human and the animal, what you can see and what's hidden, and in ancient times with witchcraft. So the nature of the Nahual is based on the Mesoamerican cultures. It's the human being linked to the nature that shares vital force with animals and spirits. In the social Okay, so in the society, in the in the tales that are told, the Nahual means like a warning or a learning opportunity. So they talk about going out at night, certain behaviors that can attract the Nahual's presence. And in Oaxaca, we've got this artistic expo that's called Sendero de los Nahuales, which are like these sculptures that honor this mystical figure that we have like as part of the culture here in Oaxaca. But as I said before, this is not a legend from Oaxaca. So in Tlaxcala, the legend of the Nahual talks about nocturnal transformation from human to a beast. In Xanacatlan, located in Estado de Mexico, some tales say that the Nahual was a sorcerer that caused fear in roads or lonely streets. And here in Oaxaca, we have this like good view of the Nahual, which is like the guardian of the spring waters that I talk about, which is one of the few good representations that we have of the Nahual. So, summarizing everything, the Nahual is not like a bad figure, like some kind of werewolf or someone that can transform. It's not as simple as that. It's more complex than that. It's like a figure that has sorcery, a human link with animals, the collective morale, and indigenous cosmovision, all in one figure. So I've actually heard a few stories about Nahuales, and I want to talk about them because why not? We're already talking about him. So some say that the Nahual needs to live like a part of themselves to transform. So there's this legend that I don't know, they have to hide their human body part that they take off. So because why? This is because if someone finds like the piece, let's gonna say, and hides it, then the Nahual can't transform back to human. So there's this one legend of one man who suspected one of his neighbors, I think, was a Nahual. So he waited and waited until he or she left. I don't remember it well. Then he entered their house and searched everywhere, and so they found like he found their legs, and just took him away. So when the Nahual returned to their home, they couldn't find their legs, and well, they were stuck in that form. And I don't know, it seems to me like really funny, like why would you need to leave a part of yourself to transform, and then you can't transform back if you don't find it. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. And there's other instances where I've heard about the Nahuales, and it's kind of weird, because some say like, no, someone told me that they were on the, like on the white and far away from the village, and this big ass coyote or this big ass dog attacked him, and so he shot it. and next day, their neighbor had fallen ill because of a gunshot, and it's like, what? It's always mind-blowing to hear those stories, because at first you don't believe them, but they are so present in the culture, in the communities, that so you'll always hear about them, even if you don't believe. Well, I'm 50-50 between believing and not, because I have not seen anything. But I know the moment that I see anything, it's gonna be like, dude, I'm gonna have to tell this to someone, and it's most likely that the other person won't believe me, and it's this cycle, not believing something, seeing proof, telling about it to someone, and they don't believe it. So it's kind of funny. Well, next up we have another legend from here, from Oaxaca. This time it's the Tule, or Árbol del Tule. So this is located on Santa María del Tule, which is like a county here on Oaxaca de Juárez. And looking up on more information, I found that this tree is Taxodium mucronatum, and it's like the trunk circumference reaches over 42 meters of diameter. So it's like this big tree that's located in front of the church on Santa Maria. So we have like two predominant legends of this tree. So the Zapotecan version of this says that it was planted around like 1400 years by a priest called Pecocha, which was serving the god of the wind, Ehecatl. And the Mije version talks about the king Condoy, or simply Condoy in some versions. So like he was passing around that place, and he simply put down his cane, the thing you use for walking. I forgot to remember right now, but I think it's something like cane. So this thing, it weighed like 62 kilograms according to the legend. It like sprouted, and that's how the tree was born. So it is said that the day when that tree dries up, Condoy will finally die. So this tree, so it is rumored that the tree has between 1400 years or 2000. Well, this tree is like really famous. I've went there on my bike with my dad, and honestly it's not that far. It's like less than an hour in bike. So its cultural meaning, it's the connection between the natural and the sacred, which believing that this was planted by a priest or mythical king. So this tree acquires like a miracle like aura to it. As I said, it's a touristic attraction. It's one of Oaxaca's biggest prides, because it's a big tree. It's from what we believe, it's 2000 or more years old. So, and some reports say that well, ironically, it's reportedly that they see some fears that seem like some animals, like elephants, lions, and crocodiles. And this is like a big cultural symbol because it's like really big. It's outside of a church, so it carries like a very important weight to our culture. And if you have the chance to come see it, I totally recommend it to you. It's completely worth it. So now we are talking about the Princess Donaji. Donaji means big soul, according to this legend, and she was the daughter of the Zapotecan king Cosijoesa and his wife Coyolicatzin. She lived on the pre-Hispanic era, around like the starting of the 16th century in Oaxaca, near Sachila, or some say that she lived in Sachila. And she was born between the conflict between Mixtecan and Zapotecan people. In this legend, Donaji falls in love with Mixtecan prince named Nucano, but to secure the peace between these cultures, between these villages, Mixtecan people ask her like a peace offering. Well, to make the long story short, she was killed by a Mixtecan warrior at the near the Atoyac River, which I don't know. Now this river, the Atoyac, it's like heavily contaminated, and there are plans running to restore its life, to clean it back up, but it is rumored that it's going to take at least 5 or 7 years. So, and well, this history of Donaji, it's represented on this annual celebration called Donaji la leyenda, which is like Donaji the legend, and it's shown on the Auditorio Guelaguetza here in Oaxaca as part of the July celebrations, previous to the Guelaguetza. I haven't gone yet, but if I'm lucky, I will go next year, because we have like so many tourists in here that come to see the Guelaguetza and July celebrations and all of that, and they go, and I mean, I'm happy about them because they get to see part of our culture. But I've known many people from Oaxaca that haven't got the chance to go and see them because all the tourists, and it's kind of a problem, kind of not a problem, because our culture, it's being like learned by other people, not necessarily from here, from Mexico, or from Americans, Europeans. I mean, it's good that our story, our culture gets spread about in all of those places. And well, getting back to the story, some versions change like slightly, and things like how did she die, how did they found her body. Some people say that her head, well, she was beheaded, and her head was found next to a lily. Some other people say that when they found her head, a lily was growing out of her head, behind the ear. But the core of the story remains in all of those versions. So she was offered as a peace as a peace offering. Uh, in the war, all of the stories agree that she died, and the lily is a common element between all of these stories, and it represents like the afterlife. And well, I didn't have much to say about this because I haven't read that much about her, but it's still a legend that I want to talk about it. So I'll probably get back to it in some future episode or something like that. But now I'm going to get to some terrain that I know some more, because I'm going to talk about La Llorona. So this one, I'm sure you've heard something about it. This woman that killed her children and now roams the streets while yelling, "I miss you." And this is like a common legend around all Mexico and some countries of South America, Central America. That's summarizing. That's the legend, but it has much left to it. So some people say that she has its roots on the Mexica's mythology, concretely on the goddess Cihuacoatl, which was like a snake woman or the woman that reigned over the men, and she was associated with maternity, sacrifice, and the fate or destiny of these indigenous villages. So it is said that Cihuacoatl presented herself like this crying figure that was crying about her children around the Texcoco Lake, just before the Tenochtitlan's fall. In the colonial era, the legend changed a little bit. So there were some new Christian elements added, like morality, punishment, and warnings. So this new version says that La Llorona was like a mixed-raced woman, between the Spaniards and the indigenous people, and she fell in love with a pure-blooded Spaniard soldier or noble. The versions change a little bit, but it was a pure-blooded Spaniard, and some people go as far as to tell that it was Hernan Cortés, but I don't really believe that one. And the story said that she was left behind. In this one, the story changes a little bit. So some say that her husband left with another full-blooded Spaniard woman. Some others say that he simply left the country, which was called New Spain by then. Some others say that she didn't want to go with him, and he left anyways. But it's always him leaving. It's either with someone, alone, or alone. Okay? So she was like blinded by sadness or rage, and she left her children to die, or she killed them herself. And most of the stories agree that the kids died on like drowned on a lake or a river, and then she like regretted everything, and she drowned herself, and then she started to roam the streets while crying for her children. And there's another story, that another version, she left the boat with her children and forgot to tie it up, and then the boat floated away, and her children disappeared, and well, then she killed herself. It always ends with someone's dying, you know. And there's some people that say that if you hear her crying like far away, it means that in reality she is near you. So the farther you hear her, the closer she is to you, and the closer you hear her, and the closer you hear her, the farther away she is from you. And this really messed up with my head when I first heard about it. And I believe that this legend is real because it is so present, not only in Mexico. I've heard like Guatemalan people say, no, the La Llorona is from here, you know. And I mean, I partially believe them because Guatemala was a Mexican territory like 2 centuries ago, but there's some other countries like Guatemala, Venezuela, you know, that are in either Central America or South America, and they claim that La Llorona is from their country. And if so many places like claim the story as their own, it must be because of, you know, it's real. And I just remembered something. It's quite funny. Well, when it happened, I wasn't laughing, you know. So there's this animated movie like Leyenda La Llorona, which is this one. And I was like a little kid. I was like 5-6 years tops, and a friend of like kindergarten, it was something like that. I think she was called Regina. Well, she invited us to her house, like the whole group. She lived like 10 blocks away from my house, and I went with my mom and we saw this movie. And we left at like 8 p.m. or something like that, so the streets were already dark. And you know, the movie scared me, and I was freaking out because I was seeing like this green glow like pushing around, whooshing in front of me, you know, like 2 blocks ahead, and and I was like really freaking out. When we turned to like the other way to go to get to our house, I saw it again, like, you know, like 1 or 2 blocks ahead. I saw it like whooshing right in front of me, and I was freaking out. But no, I think that was part of my imagination, because I asked my mom like that same day, like, did you see something weird when we were getting back home? And she was like, no, I don't think so. But I was really freaked out, and you know, that movie is meant for children, so it's kind of embarrassing, but I can laugh about it now. And when it happened, I wasn't laughing, I swear. And so this legend is always like this woman that fell in love with a Spaniard, and then he left, either with another woman or without her. And then she was like really sad. She either drowned herself her own children, or she let them drown by some other circumstance. Then she killed herself and she started roaming. It's like a very dark legend, but it is what it is, right? So now I'm going to talk about one legend that I first heard about it because of my grandma. She was telling me about this. She was talking with one taxi driver that told her. Well, first let me get to tell you about this legend, and then I'll tell you what I heard. Okay. So the Matracihuatl or Matracihuatl is this woman. It appears. When I investigated, I only found in Oaxaca, and I didn't found any other. I didn't found any info about her on other states or something, but only in Oaxaca. And she's described as a very gorgeous woman. She has this brunette skin. Her factions are like really beautiful. Her lips are colored strong red. She has this long and curly hair, black eyes with a strong stare, and it says that she's dressed with this white dress that leaves the shoulders uncovered, and sometimes she wears something like a black scarf around her. So this woman, she appears at night between 1 and 3 a.m., which I don't know, in lonely streets nearby some rivers and this kind of ravines, or nearby some bars where people drink mezcal and such things. So she attracts or seduces men, mostly drunk men or alone men, and she makes them like followers to places like away from the city, from the village, and then she just disappears and the men go missing. And I don't know, from what I could gather, the bodies are not found, or the men like get back. So that's mostly it, but some villages say that the Matracihuatl has this like goat legs instead of human. This is like a recurrent thing for some legend representations. For example, the devil, which he said to appear like a tall man dressed in a suit, but he also has goat legs, and this is a common element. So it's said that when someone falls for her, they can walk like hours without realizing it. They wake up on ravines or bushes with the body like all ragged, torn clothes, and with their shoes missing and feet full of, how do you say, well, their feet are hard, I forgot this. Let me. Oh no. Okay, so this story, as I was telling you, I heard this from my grandma. She was talking about how this taxi driver, well, he had this routine. So he picked up two women that work at a bar, it was like really late, like 1 a.m., 3 a.m. Like I said before about this, and he said that a woman was like waving in the on the road, and he stopped, and she said like, "Can you give me a ride to, I don't know, somewhere?" And he was like, "No, I'm sorry, I have like to pick up this women and yada yada." And he went on. Then he felt bad and was like, maybe I should pick her up after all. And he turned back, but he didn't find her. So he was like freaking out and decided to still go to pick up these women. And they told him, no, it's a good thing that you didn't pick her up. So that's the Matracihuatl. And they told him about, like how she seduces men, she makes them disappear. And in case the man is driving, the car is found. So the man disappears, the man goes missing, but the car is found like away from the road, in some ravine or just out of the road. And I believe that the taxi drivers have the most interesting stories about legends, because they find them like every other night, especially if they are working on the night. There's this other one that my grandma told me about, where this taxi driver picked up a girl in front of the Panteón General, which is, I think, it's the main cemetery that we have here in Oaxaca. And then he drove her to her house, and she said like, I don't got any money, but take this chain and just knock on the door tomorrow, and my mother will give you some money for the ride. He was like, okay. I mean, at least he got like a warranty of payment. And then he comes back the next day. It's like full on day, like their son and all that. And he knocks on the door, and he says like, those girl like this living here. And the mother's like stays quiet. The taxi driver is like, well, I picked her up yesterday, and I left her here. And she didn't have money, but she left me a chain, a necklace to give to you, and she told me that you would pay me. And the mother goes silent and says like, my daughter died like 2 years ago, and that necklace was buried with her. So taxi drivers have the most crazy stories you can hear about, and it just really blows my mind. So I'll be probably making at this point I'm saying that I'll be making another episode on something, but I really want to, sometimes I want to, but sometimes I will. Legends, I assure you that I will make some other legends, even if it's just like reading you something that a taxi driver said, because I think that they're the most vulnerable people to come across these kinds of things, because they are driving late at night, and the ones that drive that late at night are the most likely people to encounter this kind of things. So this episode's almost, says that I've been recording for 35 minutes, so after editing and all of that, I hope that it'll be that bit shorter than that, but I can't promise you anything. I think that this is like compensation for leaving you without an episode last week, but I hope you enjoy this. Be sure to follow me on my socials. I've got my Instagram link down here. I don't know if you are listening or watching this on YouTube or Spotify, but I have both, like if you're watching this on YouTube, you can You can download the next episodes on Spotify, so you can listen to them on the go. Video is uploaded to both of these platforms, so just use whatever you find most comfortable with. I'll start to post like clips of this on Instagram, YouTube, to get more views. Which, as I told you before, I'm not that interested in pursuing views and such, but it's always nice to, be watched. It's like being rewarded. And to the people that have already listened to me, like, yap about all of this stuff, like, incoherently, because I don't have any idea what I'm doing right now. Well, I thank you profusely thank you to all of you. Thank all of you. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.